Wow, it's super bright up here. Hello. It is a super big honor to introduce this next panel. There's a little bit of a personal story behind how this panel came about. Wait, I have to stand because this is like blinding. Wow, maze. So about over a year ago, I came to one of these ICC conferences. I came with Esfir, who was my colleague at the time at Good Dollar. We looked around the room. There weren't many people that looked like us, aka it was mostly men, and Liora had the same thought, so we kind of huddled, and over the past year, like this incredible friendship has blossomed. And now with Liz Llamas, who is also our co-founder of Kitchen, a Web3 native agency. So just wanted to say, like, thank you to the ICC. Did you not hear me before? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Something happened. So anyways, over the past year, this friendship that blossomed, we became co-founders of a Web3 native agency called Kitchen, which I would love to tell you all of you more about, but in long story short, it's a Web3 native agency that does everything that you need us to do. We are your recipe for Web3. We do everything from community building to legal strategy to NFT strategy to product strategy. So this conversation is just a snippet of the kind of conversations we have on a weekly basis with the community that we've been building over the past year, which is called Wing Women. Note women. We need more women in this space. It's super obvious, it's super important. So I welcome all women and male allies to be part of this as well and connect with us after because we'd love to tell you more about it. And without further ado, the trio of product experts, Esfir Eppelbaum. You're supposed to clap. And Liora Shlomi, and Tomer Weiss.
Talk to Ariel about it.
Not embarrassing at all.
Yes.
Totally Web3.
Okay, so we have just one mic, but soon we're gonna get more and it will be easier. So hey everyone, in the next 25 minutes, we're gonna talk about the day-to-day of being a product manager in the Web3 space. What are the opportunities, challenges, and how it's different from Web2? Let's start with a short introduction about each and every one of us.
So I'm the co-founder of Kitchen with Jess and the co-founder of Web3 Wing Women community and a VP product in marketing Best AI company. And I'm in this ecosystem for almost 9 years. Did everything from B2B, B2C, B2, B2C. Super excited to be here with you.
Hi guys and girls. So my name is Liora. I'm a product manager at Zerion. So Zerion is a platform that has multiple services. We're well known for our portfolio management. We also have a trading platform in which we aggregate trades. So this is kind of a very cool service. We provide like the best rates. And then the third one is something that I led actually from 0 to 1, which is the Zerion wallet. It's a really cool wallet. You can essentially see your portfolio, complete trades, and and do everything in one app, which is something that, as far as I know, hasn't been around before. Also, previously, I used to work at Decrypt, which is kind of the media product of Consensus, and did a bunch of product roles, non-related to Web3, and did UX, which is actually huge for our discussion, but I don't know if it's going to be super relevant.
Cool. Yeah, my name is Tomer. I'm co-founder in ICC. We're working together more than a year already, like creating all these conferences for the community. In addition to that, my main job is being a product manager. Until recently, led over-collateralized loan product for almost 2 years. And before that, co-founded the Camp Accelerator, which was the acceleration program for Salo.org and also a digital platform for accelerators. So let's start. Let's start with talking a little bit on product strategy. And let's start with like the question a lot of people ask themselves, what is Web3? And more related to our role, how Web3 is going to change the user's usage and experience with digital products and the internet.
So I will start. It's a huge question, and I will try to answer it in 2 layers. So the first one, we need to talk about, before we are talking about Web3, we need to understand what was Web 1 and Web 2. And Web 1 actually provided the users the ability to receive content. Web 2 provided the ability to contribute with content, which really unlocked the endless possibilities that we now call the internet. Web 3 is taking us even deeper, meaning the user is not only receiving the content and not only contributing to the content, but he's also have a significant part of an impact on the product. He has an ownership. He is really part of defining the product, and is a part of the force team in a lot of the cases. This is in general. In more specific way, I have 2 points about Web3 in terms of blockchain. So the first one is that an open protocols is a huge part of Web3, and they are supplying us the ability to scale up for solutions and for infrastructure. And the second one is the customization that will follow from this kind of connection. So it's really, I think for a product, it's really super exciting time to be in this area, to build this kind of products. And I think that the only one who had the same experience were the people who were in the internet when it started. So I'm super excited about it.
Thanks, yeah. I think it was a really good summary in order to understand kind of the difference between Web3 and the prior generations, and agree it's a super exciting time. I think the only thing I have to add in terms of like the experience, like in regards to your question, is that you're asking like how would it impact the experience. So on one hand, like you said, it's a fresh start. We might not even know what are the ways to potentially impact the experience. But on the other hand, we also see, like I think we saw it during the bull market, like the recent one, that a lot of VCs started investing, a lot of kind of Silicon Valley Web 2 execs started moving into Web 3. And like a significant thing we saw was that even Andreessen Horowitz published an article about it, discussing should we integrate Web 2 practices into the Web 3 experience in order to onboard users. So okay, now there's a pause on it. Why? Because it's a bear market, and we know we're not going to onboard like a bunch of newcomers. It's not that exciting at the moment. But still, I feel there is there's going to be some sort of friction in terms of experience. There's going to be friction between people wanting to use the old solution, existing, log in with your email pass, versus those kind of newcomers, where everything is open. We have no way to know how the next experience will be designed. What will be the next DApp Explorer? No idea. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that was said. Definitely agree that the future gonna be like a lot of Web 2 experience, but there will be also different product that we will have to use with the current Web 3 user experience. That mean wallet connect, sign-in transaction, and so. I do think that one of the new things that Web3 are going to impact in terms of user experience is composability and like over valuable things. So we will be able to move valuable assets from one platform to another that will impact mainstream and everybody will be able to feel that. Let's move on to the next question. So Esfir, what is the shift in leading values and KPI when building a Web3 product compared to Web 2 products?
The $1 million question. Well, once we understand that the power shifting is going towards the users, once the users and the community can really define, and we're seeing it at the moment in all of the Web3 communities, who are able to define their own values and their own KPIs. So the shifting is going to be to understand really the actual needs of a community. The community is playing a huge part in this evolution. They're becoming the super users. So if I will compare it to Web 2, where we had and still have the influencers, and we know that everything about conversion and engagement was about the influencers, now we're talking about the community as the super user, and not just as the super user, but also as a force team, and also as a part of a marketing tool. So a lot of the things we know in terms of products is gonna change completely. We need to figure out, how do I say it in the most simple way, to break the paradigms we have about product and to break everything we know about it. I think that the best way in terms of product to see it is really to research human-centered design approach and to understand from the actual needs of the community and of the users.
Yeah, Liora, you spoke before about market trends, experienced user versus non-experienced user. How all of this, how you take all this into account when you have to get a strategic decision about building a product?
Well, first off, the most important thing that we need to look at that is very different from Web 2 in that context would be the market, okay? So not only like in traditional like product strategy, would we go and break down the market and understand are we building a solution within what segment of it? Is it a new solution? But in Web3, it's tenfold more important. The way I see it at the moment, there's probably two ways to go about it. One way is to try to solve something within the existing new, still very new paradigms of Web3, where utility is about trading experience, mostly, trading, gaming, and DAOs, identity. And the other is probably build your own new market. So if you build your own new market, in terms of strategy, you're building for new users, you're building for an unforeseen future. That can be amazing. It's a huge risk, but it's also like a huge opportunity. And if you're building within the existing solutionscape, you need to take into account the fact that trading volumes have gone down, so activity has gone down. Trust in Web3 has gone down, partially due to market conditions and inflation, and partially due to actual disbelief because of security issues. When you look at all of those, you probably should build for existing users at the moment in the dichotomy of new users versus existing, so to more experienced ones. And for those, you need to look really, really deeply into the problems and see what you can solve from them. I hope that answered your questions. Does it though?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned several times the community. Let's speak a little bit about the role of the community when building products for Web3. So, Esfir, can you tell us, as a product builders, how can it affect the way we design products and our way of work?
Sure. So, like I said before, if the only way to have a proper marketing in a decentralized platform is by a community becomes one of the most important things you need to have. And you need to have value in the community. You need to build it. You need to maintain it. You need to understand the actual needs, as Liora said. I think a little different than Liora. I think that the last year showed us that a lot of newbies came into this space, a lot because of the utility of the NFTs. Yeah. And I think that there is a huge opportunity with unleashing it even more by thinking in a strategical way about your community, which is totally different than anything we know in Web 2. It's more transparent, it's more personal, it's more engagement, and it's basically also the community in a lot of ways are the value basically is being determined by the community. So it's a crucial part, and without even going to the actual force team. In a lot of crypto projects, we can see that in a lot of the cases, the community is helping to build, like physically, the actual product. So yeah, I think that the community is the first super users that we should really focus and understand how we can really answer their needs, which is not easy.
Yeah. And right now, when you're a product manager of a Web3 company, Discord is something that is obvious. If you're a product manager of Web2 company, you don't have that. So you have lots of the answers you're looking for already in the Discord. And if you don't know, or it's very easy to talk to the users. If you are a product manager of Web2, it's hard to have testing groups. It's hard to talk to them. But in Web3, it's a different story. And Liora, we would like to hear from you a little bit examples from Zerion and generally in the market about the role of community, what is the emerging trends related to product management and community, and the impact of community in Web3 products.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, by the way, I want to say in regards of what you just said about Discord, I mean, it's 100% true that a lot of feedback and contribution comes from the community. But if we're looking sometimes for clean user feedback for target audiences, then we need to do some sort of separation, because a lot of people, they are creators, but a lot of people are also farmers, airdrop farmers. And the way we do, so what happened is basically, and this is also picking up on what Esfir was talking about, how the community is evolving and finding their own solutions, is that what we see is that roles are starting to emerge on Discord channels, and users are connecting either Twitter accounts, or like we had this project when we launched the wallet, we called it DNA. It's some sort of generative NFT that evolves as you trade on the platform and is activated. I mean, the evolution only happens while the NFT is in our wallet, which is, I think, also a technological novelty to some extent. Maybe we should spin it off to a product. Sorry.
I'm an holder, by the way.
Brainstorming here. What?
I'm an holder of the DNA NFT.
And did you trade?
I bought it in the secondary, on a secondary market.
Wow, why?
I
Because
thought
it's
maybe,
unlimited.
Yeah, I thought something exciting gonna go out of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So what did we try to do there? We gave everyone like a pretty similar kind of opportunity to get the NFT. But the more you trade, the more you interact, the more you are part of the community, your NFT evolves. So it visually becomes different. The different attributes of the NFT become rarer. And so this is one way, and we're not the only one. I mean, others do it in other ways. Sometimes it's sheer holdership, or is that a word?
Ownership.
of an NFT. Sometimes in order to get entry or whitelisted into projects, you need to provide different types of proof. But at the end of the day, everyone who is about growth and about community does the same. We want to break down our community into different levels. And to approach users in a segmented way, to value and give back to our most loyal users and the people that contribute the most. So that's, why is it cool? Because it's a bypass. Because what happens is we don't really collect analytics, and that's because of the ethos of Web3. So, okay, we have all the on-chain data of an address, but at the end of the day, when it comes to off-chain data, we're loyal to our users, we're loyal to, the crypto ethos. And these are like nice, transparent ways to gather loyalty, to get analytics. We also see, and by the way, there was, I think, a panel in the other room about wallet-to-wallet communication. So that's another thing that kind of is a way to bypass those hurdles. And I'm gonna give you.
So you just mentioned, Liora, you just mentioned that in Web3 we don't have analytics, and if you're building a DApp you don't have all the information of the users like we have in Web2. Can you tell us how it's affect our job developing products with less data? How you solve it? How you work to build products?
Is it okay to curse on stage or like?
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
So.
Yeah, it's Web3.
So I don't have a lot to say more than I just did. We have issues. We collect, gather, and can view. We have our own like amazing Dune dashboards where we can see transactions. But because we respect users' privacy when it comes to IPs, and we know how delicate. And if you're not in the space, you're just thinking of building. Just know that the users are very, very protective of their privacy. So we just use these. We create those ranks on Discord in order to segment the audiences and target them one-on-one in creative ways.
What is your take on this, Esfir?
Yeah, well, the existing solution we have at the moment is really not perfect, because we really don't have the actual data that we used to have in order to create personal engagement and customization that will lead to more monetization and product use. But I think we are trying to solve it from the community side up to like a point that we can. And I think that in the future, we will see more people that are using their own data to monetize themselves. So this is, if I have one thing that I'm sure about it that will be in the future, is that and I think that it's going to be in the near future, because we already have a solution that are working this way. Basically, once a user owns his own data, at the moment, if I go to Facebook or Google or any other centralized system, my data is being used in order to monetize me. But I don't get paid for it, or I don't get actually nothing for it. So when talking about Web3, we can also talk about other solutions to provide an option to monetize your own data and really to define what is your value that you believe in. The economics we have at the moment was defined really long time ago by a really small amount of people. And the effect of that is that a lot of things that didn't have any value until now could have, like the invisible economy, for example, home engineering. Women are doing this job every day, but they're not getting paid for it. So thinking about a community that can really monetize this kind of solutions, and also to monetize their own data while doing so. And of course, if I'm monetizing my own data and I own it, then I can also choose to integrate as a user to every product I want, which will probably scale our progress in terms of creating new solutions for new infrastructures, integration, and really a long tail of possibilities that I don't know still how we're gonna call it, but it's gonna be exciting.
Thank you. So let's speak a little bit about the challenges related to the Web3 technology infrastructure. Liora, the community expects us to build open source product. Why?
So I think like the nice question, the fluffy question is because of the blockchain ethos, you know, when Satoshi did it, it was, yeah, transparency, it was public, etc. But I think the reality is that what we see is that most of these projects, even the ones that we really know these days, are built from the ground up. I mean, it's not like Microsoft sponsored them. So when it comes to that, it's really important to present some sort of source code so that users can understand, if there is something malicious about this code. I mean, we've seen NFT projects with rug pulls, you know, sometimes founders even of projects that may seem very established and have reputation can disappear with the money because it's millions. So that's one thing. And I think the other thing is just the community also wants access to go over the code and see that they're not subjecting their wallets into anything, or that the contracts are okay, which is also is super important. So it's almost like it's really expected, I think, nowadays. And the last thing is that, sometimes these are bases for what you could look at it as an expansion opportunity, like if we open our API, for example, although not code, but then others can use it, and then at the end of the day, we can either monetize from it or just expand an ecosystem.
Esfir, what do you think is the advantages versus disadvantages building your product on an open source way?
Okay, so the advantages, and I will try not to repeat what Liora said. I totally agree with you, by the way. But I will try to talk about other points. So one is really the open protocols give us the option to scale up really quick for developers and for people who are trying to get into Web3. When you have the option to use different kind of products and you can already use them, and you can, based on what I said before, you can even be a part of the community before as a developer to test it, and then you can understand if they're answering your need, which is lowering the barrier in terms of money and in terms of time to start a new product. So this is one, and the second is collaboration. I think that Web3, if we need to think about one word that describing Web3 is collaboration. I think all of us are agreeing that in order to scale up and to get humanity to where we think it should be, we need to collaborate together. So this is the advantages from my side. The disadvantages is, like I said before, at the moment, I don't, because of the decentralized infrastructure, we don't have the actual data. This is like the, let's call it the little disadvantage, and the other one is the possibility to monetize, which is a half of a disadvantage, because in one way you can allow other companies to use your product and not to get paid. But from the other side, like Liora said, it can cost you a bigger engagement from an audience that you didn't knew that were even relevant for your company. So this is my take on that.
Thanks. We don't have time, so this is gonna be the last question. If you want to build yourself for the next 2 years to come in the Web3 space, what we should work on?
Oh my God, I can talk about it for weeks. But in short, I think it's really important to do a research, a really deep one, to understand the actual problems the communities in the space have at the moment. We know for sure 2 things. We know that the community needs to receive better solutions in terms of the collaboration. This is one. And we need to think about other possibilities in terms of the actual products that they will need. And we need to do it cross technology. We need to think about other integration options. As a developers, I think you should really research the open protocols that is out there and try to understand where do you want to be in 3 years, and if this infrastructure is gonna work good for you also in 3 years. Because this is the point that people got really stuck when they're choosing an open protocol that is not really aligned with their vision in future. And to have an integration after that, it's like killing, in a lot of cases, the actual product. So research, understand the needs of the super users who are now the community, and try to be in contact with them as much as you can.
I mean, I agree with you on everything you said. I do think, however, that in the future, interoperability will be much easier, and we see it already that, it's easier to take your project from one chain to the other. I think chains are also really trying to encourage that. Okay, the question was what's smart to invest in energy in the next 2 years? So, yeah, I think assuming market conditions, what I'm seeing right now is a shift. There is an existing ecosystem and a valid use case around trading, yeah, and specifically in Web3 around DeFi trading, NFT trading, etc. And so we see there is an ecosystem that exists. So in order to preserve it, this ecosystem is getting smarter with time. It's getting more sophisticated, and I see an emergence of tools, a lot of kind of rarity tools, sniping tools, NFT tools. Everyone all of a sudden has a Nansen account. So I think we're getting smarter. We need to focus on helping users extract value from this main use case. And also security. Security, I think what's going to happen, the way I see it, is that people will still be using non-custodial solutions, especially in Web3, right? Since it's decentralized. And in order to support that, if I have to guess, we're gonna see a new wave of security solutions that will be tailored, and you can plug upon existing dApps and protocols and wallets to kind of ensure users end-to-end security.
I'm completely agree with what's said. I definitely think that the security tool and more data tools, we're gonna see them more and more. Infrastructure like Web3 auth that enable Web2 products with Web3 capability is also something cool. And yeah, I hope we're gonna meet here very soon, not in 2 years from now, with you too. I would like to thank you for the discussion, Esfir, Liora, and
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thanks, Tomer and Lior.